open. So, here we are again. That was, I really enjoyed that, Charla. I was talking to Carla about the various types of teaching online, italki, baseline, so many options. It's really kind of tricky. So anyone finding themselves with some sort of challenge in their Spanish at the moment? What's going on?
Yeah, I do, Tony. I find I'm not too bad at speaking Spanish, but I'm really struggling to understand Spanish people speaking. And where I get stuck is the Spanish person will speak, and then there's a word that I know, but I can't remember. And I focus on that, and then I lose the flow of the conversation. So my wife says, try and take the whole conversation in a sentence in and forget about that word and you'll still pick it up. But I think there's something in me that just concentrates on that word, and I lose. So that's something I need to try and get past the one word that I don't get, because it does all of a sudden make me kind of crumble a little bit.
Could anyone else relate to this challenge?
Definitely.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. It's quite kind of nice to know you're not the only one. I think it is like as adults, I'm very fortunate at the moment because my grandson Rio is just coming up to 2, and he's really developing his speaking. And what he does is he copies. You've got to be quite careful what you say now, because he's like a little tape recorder on instant replay, and he says the same thing back. But he doesn't say whole sentences. He just picks up on the odd little bit. And I'm just kind of going, one of the differences between us as adults and him as a child is he doesn't know, or it doesn't bother him that there are some words that he didn't understand. So he's not distracted by the thought, oh, Yayo, that's my name, Spanish for, grandpa. Yayo said a word and I didn't understand it. And now Yayo is saying something else and I don't understand that either. That's what you're talking about, Pat? It's like in the moment where you think about the word you didn't understand, you're now missing the next few words.
That's a problem. Yep,
there's got to be a name for that. I don't know what it is. It's like,
nerves.
Confusion by distraction. Well, interestingly, I heard, so here's my solution. I mean, other people might have other solutions as well. Maybe, has anyone else got something that they've tried that's worked for them, that they kind of like go, like the cure for hiccups?
I think the recommendation is just to try and ignore it and carry on listening to the full sentence to get the context. But it's so hard.
It is hard. As adults, we are problem solvers. We do not like confusion or uncertainty. We hate it, right?
Especially when it's a word, especially when it's a simple word that you do know, but just on that day, and it's a simple, and then you kick yourself because you think, God, it's only a word like hablar, or a word like something that you've learned basic years ago, but just on the day, it just doesn't click. And it's,
that's right. Yes, Senor Pat. Okay, Senor Pat. Pat. Yes, my name. Oh, yes. Exactly. And so you go, and so that's even more frustrating, like the tip of the tongue syndrome. It's like, again, but it's wanting to have control and wanting to know what the situation is, right? As adults, that's what we, it's like very, very strong instinctive drive for us to be in control. And so bang, we're in that state. So to me, that's what's going on. And the advice I heard from Steve Kaufman, I don't know if you've come across him on YouTube. He's a Canadian. I think he's in his 70s, if not his 80s, a polyglot with like 20 languages. And he's got a video where he says, do not try and translate, right? And this to me is the subtext of the problem, Pat. You're probably trying to translate, because if you say, I want to know what that word means, you are actually trying to translate. That's right. Now, here's my theory here. I thought, okay, I'm going to try this with Harry Potter. I'm listening to the audio book of Harry Potter. And when I listen, what I'm trying to do now very deliberately is not translate, just listen to the Spanish, right? And not say to myself, oh, that's a broomstick, that's a witch, that's a spell, whatever it is. With all of the language, with all of it, just process Spanish and let my unconscious do the work, right?
And it closely
And what I've found is then if there are words that I don't know, I just ignore them. I don't bother about it because I've got myself out of the translating mode. So what I'd suggest is going on, Pat, is you're in translation mode. You want to know the meaning of every word. Stop knowing the meaning of any word. Get yourself out of the habit of any of that translation and just listen to the Spanish. And what I do to do it, I'll come to you in a second, Barbs, just to finish it off. I'm really interested. What I've ended up myself doing to practice doing it is I echo in my mind, I say it in Spanish after they've said it. I sort of shadow. So, Lisa, could you just say something to me simple in Spanish and I'll show you what I'm talking about when I say that.
Mi nombre es Lisa.
Mi nombre es Lisa. I say it in my head straight after she said it. I just shadow or echo what they're saying, right? And so I'm thinking in Spanish. My brain is saying the Spanish, not English. And then if Lisa said mi nombre es Spanish, y blah blah blah, and I couldn't get it, I repeat it or I just keep going. So that's and then if you can get into the habit of that, I'm finding I'm not getting stuck on words.
I think you're right, because originally I used to translate, when I was talking, I would translate from Spanish to English or English to Spanish, and it would take me a while talking, and I've got past that. So I need to do the same with listening. You know, it's
so don't translate, and what you can do instead, because we do have an inclination to do something, is just repeat the words in your mind in Spanish.
Yeah.
And see how that goes. See how it goes, Pat. We'll be very interested to come back to you.
We'll get there.
Barbs, thank you for waiting. That took ages.
That's fine. I was just going to say, on a really closely related topic, I was reading about how to think in Spanish. And the advice that they gave there was, don't try and apply any logic, because you can't word match word for words. And there's just some standard phrases, and just try and don't even question why something is that way. Just listen to it and accept it, let it go and move on, kind of thing.
Yes.
Because you can't word match. And in a lot of the Spanish language, well, as we're learning, we can't apply logic to it. I guess it's the same for people learning English. So just let it flow. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I have a couple of comments. I agree with that completely. That's what I've been working on as well, is not translating. And I've been actively working on, if I hear, say, the word casa, I imagine the vision of a house. So I'm no longer going to the word house. I'm having the mental image of what that word signifies in my head, And that's been speeding it up. I'm understanding better because I'm not getting slowed down by the translation piece of it. The other thing I would say is just being comfortable with, I mean, if this is happening every other word, you can't do it. But if there's a word that's caught you, just to say, un momento, que significa, whatever that word is, and let them teach you that word. Because, I think a lot of times we get embarrassed by the fact that we're in learning mode, but we are in learning mode, and they know it.
And they want to help too. Most people, 99.9% of people are very happy to help, aren't they? Because unless it's, and my trick always was with busy people like waiters or receptionists or whatever, I would say to them, I'd like to, practice my Spanish. If you get a second, if you've got time, I'd love to da-da-da. And often the waiters would come back to my table and say, oh, señor, ¿you quieres aprender un poco de? It's like, so if you, think about it that way, but those are great ideas, Molly. I love the idea of just visualizing rather than translating. And then you actually are thinking in Spanish, because you've got a house in your head, and the word casa is what you use.
There's actually I did a course Spanish with Paul in the vocabulary course, and I can still remember he used visualization, and one of the words was bosque, like forest, but you had to imagine your boss had a key and he's walking into the forest. I know it was strange, but he says whatever does it for you, that's the kind of thing. And actually I think Molly's right. I just remembered that, and you have to visualize things like that to kind of help you get words to stick.
Ross?
I was going to say some advice given to me a while ago with the visualization is, if you don't mind, putting Post-it notes around your house and tagging the item. So Molly, to your point, you look at a sofa and you have the word right there in front of you. So you're associating the word with the item as opposed to translating.
I've got, do you know the word amphitryon? And el anfitrión. Today, Lisa is nuestra anfitriona, host or hostess, anfitrión. And it was a word I needed to use because I was talking to my teacher about charlemos, and we're talking about being the host, and I didn't know the word at all, and she said anfitrión. Okay, that's kind of a hard word, and to remember it. So here's how crazy this visualization, but I absolutely use it, the whole visualization, but I had to break it up into first an, feet, tree, on. Anne is Princess Anne, the princess, the daughter of Queen Elizabeth. That's Anne, right? Feet. Anne has big feet, so big that they are forming a tree in the ground. And that tree has got a switch on it, and you have clicked the switch on, Amphitryon. And I can tell you that is still quite tricky for me, and I call that scaffolding. Like if I use that over and over again, it's like scaffolding. You put it up in order to erect the building, or in this case, erect the memory, and eventually you can take the scaffolding away, and the building, the memory will remain. But for the while, and it's the same with atragantarse, which is to choke. It's like it's a truck with a gun with tar spurting out of the gun, atragantarse, because it's reflexive.
Wow.
You choke yourself.
I choke myself. It's what said, you should choke yourself saying the word. I don't have to remember that it means choke because, and as some of you know, the reason I need to know that word is because on New Year's Eve in Spain, as some of you know, swallowing the grapes, I was at a party where someone started to choke on their grapes. And I had to do La Maniobra de Heimlich.
Because they have the seeds in them still. I went to Spain one New Year. You had to take the 12 grapes, and I started taking them every time, but not realizing they've still got the seeds in them. And I got to about 3 or 4. And it's like, oh, I was
no, it's kind of dangerous. No, the trick is to cut them, and for little children, they cut them up. But I was laughing so much, I wasn't swallowing them, I was spurting them all over the room. I stopped laughing very quickly when I saw my friend joking, though. Oh dear. Anyway, okay, well, that was really useful. And thanks, folks, for being recordable. These are chats. Oh, I didn't even notice Carla went partway through, but that's what happens as well. We have these chats after the hour, and where we talk about hints for learning and tools that we use and all sorts of things. And this is also part of what I love about Charlemos, is that we are a group of people who speak in Spanish, but we also speak about Spanish. We speak about our learning process and the challenges that we have. And it's great to learn other tricks and things, but also what's great to learn is also that other people are facing the same sorts of challenges, and that we're not alone. I think that's really important, eh? And we get inspiration from seeing other people progressing. You call it the sobremesa, eh, Lisa? Lisa baptized this moment, the sobremesa, after, I mean, as you say, Barbs, literally that means after the table, doesn't it? Or on top of the table, I guess. Doesn't it mean on top of the table? The chat, in other words, the chat that you have after you've eaten. Yeah.
Right, I'm going to go, guys. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it.
Thanks, Pat.
Bye, everybody.
Lovely to see you, Pat. It was awesome. Yeah.
Bye.
Adios. And
Adios. I've got to get going too.
Sure. Yeah, Molly. Thanks. Okay. Lovely to see you. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, good to see you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Okay, and I'm still recording, Lisa, but
good. Okay.
I can't. I've got to find the button where I stop. Here we go. Stop.